Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another session. So, we are back with a new revision session for the upcoming GATE exam. Are you all ready? Good evening, and welcome. So, are you all ready for some more revision? Yes? Very good. So, good evening. Yes. So, let me start by sharing my screen. I believe all of you can see my screen, right? Yes, it's visible. Okay. So, tomorrow there will be paper one session of GATE, right? Okay. Yeah. Chalo. Let's get started. Please do like the session. Okay. So let's move on to the first question. Hesperides is a book of poetry published in 1648 by English Cavalier poet Dash. This collection of 1200 lyrical poems, his magnum opus, was published under his direction and established his reputation. It is replete with carpe diem sentiments. So, when we talk about Cavalier poets, we know that they were the court poets of King Charles the First, right? They were the court poets of King Charles the First. So, Hesperides, it's a poetry collection by Robert Herrick, correct. Ayo, I have again written Hesperides, but yes, all of you are correct. Hesperides, it's a book of poetry by the English Cavalier poet Robert Herrick. Robert Herrick was a Cavalier poet. Next, implied reader theory developed by Dash posits that every text constructs a hypothetical reader, hypothetical ideal reader, or the implied reader who possesses the background knowledge and attitudes to fully grasp the author's intended meaning, even though this person is not real. And this concept helps us explain how texts guide actual readers through their structure, gaps, and points of view, creating a dynamic process where readers fill in meaning and form expectations, making reading an active, recreative event rather than passive reception. So, implied reader theory. It's a major theory from reader response criticism, right? So, who developed this theory of implied reader? Yes, it was developed by Wolfgang Iser. Wolfgang Iser developed the theory of implied reader. Who are the other major reader response critiques? Tell me. Who are the other major reader response critiques? Say, other major reader response critiques. Tell me the names. Yes, Wolfgang Geiser is there. We also have Stanley Fish, Hans Robert Jors, Louis Rosenblatt, David Bleich. They are the major critics of The school of reader response criticism. Stanley Fish is very important. You all know him. He wrote works like Surprised by Sin, The Reader in the Paradise Lost. He wrote the book or the work, Is There a Text in This Class? And Stanley Fish is associated with the concept of interpretive communities. Interpretive communities, right? So, reader response criticism is very important. And Wolfgang Iser developed the theory of implied reader, which posits that every text constructs a hypothetical ideal reader. Okay, Wolfgang Iser. Right. Next. Woman must write herself, must write about women and bring women to writing, from which they have been driven away as violently as from their bodies, for the same reasons, by the same law, with the same fatal goal. Woman must put herself into the text, as into the world, and into history by her own movement. Who wrote these lines? Tell me. Who wrote these lines? Answer the questions. Who wrote these lines? And these lines are there in which work? Tell me. These lines were written by Helen Sizu in the essay The Laugh of the Medusa. The Laugh of the Medusa. This essay was published in 1975. 1975. In this essay, Sizu issues an ultimatum that women can either read and choose to stay trapped in their own bodies by a language that does not follow them to express themselves, or they can use the body as a way to communicate. And she describes a writing style called écriture féminine that she says attempts to move outside of the conventional rules found in patriarchal systems. Sizu argued that écriture féminine allows women to address their needs by building strong self narratives and identity. And this text is situated in a history of feminist conversations that separated women because of their gender, especially in terms of authorship. This essay, The Laugh of the Medusa, it addresses this rhetoric, a writing on individuality and commanding women to use writing and the body as sources of power and inspiration. Okay, it's a very important essay. The Laugh of the Medusa by Sizu. Very importantly, it talks about the concept of écriture féminine, which talks about the woman writing about herself and using her body as a tool of her self expression. Okay, right. Next. Which of the following is not a work by Lucy Irigaray? Tell me. Which of the following is not a work by Lucy Irigaray? This sex which is not one, Borderlands La Frontera, Speculum of the Other Woman, I Love to You. Here, which work is not by Lucy Irigaray? Irigaray is also a major feminist. I'm sure you must have read her works and studied about her, right? Tell me. Here, Borderlands La Frontera. It is not by Lucy Irigaray. It is by Gloria Anzaldua. Gloria Anzaldua. Sorry, wait. Are you read? Okay. Okay. Borderlands La Frontera, The New Mestigia. It's a semi-autobiographical work by Gloria Anzaldua. Gloria Anzaldua. Okay, Anzaldua was an American philosopher and scholar of Chicana feminism, cultural theory, and queer theory. Gloria Anzaldua is a major name in queer theory, and she is best known for her work Borderlands La Frontera, which is based on her life growing up on the Mexico-Texas border, and this work incorporates her lifelong experiences of social and cultural marginalization. Okay, so Borderlands La Frontera, it's a major work by the queer theorist Gloria Anzaldua. Gloria Anzaldua. Okay, right. So if you guys want, you can join our GATE crash course. This crash course is going on right now. The fees is just rupees 2,500. And in this course, we're offering you live revision sessions, topic-wise quizzes, and also model tests for intensive revision. Okay, this crash course will be going on till 5th of February. So if you guys want, you can join us. Right. Here we have given you some statements on Oliver Twist, the second novel of Dickens. It was serialized in Bentley's Miscellany, and it was subtitled The Parish Boy's Progress. I hope you all know about this novel really well. So now you have to choose the wrong statement here. Wrong statement on Oliver Twist. Oliver Twist reveals Dickens's scathing critique of Victorian society's hypocrisy, class inequality, and the corrupting influence of institutions like workhouses, using Oliver's innocent journey to expose social ills and champion social reform, exploring themes of poverty, crime, identity, and the innate goodness contrasted with environmental evil. A new historicist reading would view the novel not just as a story, but as a cultural artifact deeply embedded in Victorian power structures, revealing how institutions like workhouses, the legal system, and even criminal gangs shaped identities, especially of the poor and the orphaned, highlighting social inequalities, the era's anxieties about poverty, and challenging dominant narratives through characters like Fagin and Oliver. Oliver Twist draws a very mysterious, fascinating, and enigmatic picture of criminals in the underbelly of London, with its thieves and pickpockets leading life of Robin Hoods of the century. Which is the wrong statement here about Dickens's Oliver Twist. The last statement here is absolutely wrong. Dickens never drew a romantic and enigmatic and mysterious picture. He has very unromantically portrayed the sordid lives of the criminals in the underbelly of London in the 19th century. So the last statement here is absolutely wrong because Dickens never drew a very fascinating and enigmatic picture of the underbelly of London. Okay, so it's a reminder for you all to do critical readings of major works. Okay, right. And you should know how to read various novels through various lenses, be it of new historicism or Marxism or structuralism. All right? Yes. So here we focused on a new historicist reading of Oliver Twist. Okay, right. Which of the following are true about the movement of Enlightenment? Enlightenment, I hope you all know about this movement of the 18th century. So which of the following here are true about the movement of Enlightenment? It was characterized by an emphasis on reason, empirical evidence, and scientific method. The Enlightenment promoted ideals of individual liberty, religious tolerance, progress, and natural rights. Its thinkers advocated for constitutional government, the separation of church and state, and the application of rational principles to social and political reform. Bacon's idea of cogito ergo sum profoundly influenced the Enlightenment by establishing reason and individual consciousness as the primary source of certainty, shifting focus from faith to rational inquiry. Here, which statements are correct about the movement of enlightenment in the 18th century? Knowledge about literary movements will be extremely crucial. So I hope you are getting your daily dose of literary movements and all from here. Here the correct answer is all except D. Here everything is correct. A, B, C are correct. D is wrong because the dictum of cogito ergo sum, here R is missing. So the dictum of cogito ergo sum was given by René Descartes. Cogito ergo sum means I think, therefore I am. It was not the idea of Francis Bacon, but of René Descartes. René Descartes' idea of cogito ergo sum, it profoundly influenced the Enlightenment by establishing reason and individual consciousness as the primary source of certainty, shifting focus from faith to rational inquiry. That's why the idea or the philosophy of empiricism and rationalism both got so important during this time. Your reason and also experience. Okay, so here all statements are correct about the movement of enlightenment except this last one, A, B, C. These three statements are correct about the movement of enlightenment. The last one here is wrong because Francis Bacon is the father of empiricism, but he never talked about the dictum of cogito ergo sum. Cogito ergo sum, which means I think, therefore I am. It was the dictum of the philosopher René Descartes. René Descartes. But obviously, figures like Francis Bacon, René Descartes, Thomas Hobbes, John Locke, these figures inspired the movement of enlightenment. These figures inspired the movement of enlightenment in the 18th century, a movement that was characterized by its emphasis on reason, empirical evidence, and scientific method. Because I hope you all know that in his essay, What is Enlightenment? Kant had said, enlightenment is the movement through which man will come out of his self-incurred stupidity. So it's a movement that was supposed to bring clarity, that was supposed to push away superstitions. It was a movement which brought a reason to the forefront of daily life. So, literary movements will be very important for your upcoming GATE exam, be it the movement of Renaissance, humanism, or enlightenment, or existentialism, or expressionism, or cubism. Please make sure you know about all of the literary movements really well. Today we talked about enlightenment. I think yesterday we had talked about the movement of existentialism. Yesterday we had talked about the movement of existentialism. Right? Okay. It's okay. Last question for tonight. The imagination then I consider either as primary or secondary. The primary imagination I hold to be the living power and prime agent of all human perception, and as a repetition in the finite mind of the eternal act of creation in the infinite I am. The secondary imagination I consider as an echo of the former, coexisting with the conscious will, yet still as identical with the primary in the kind of its agency, and differing only in degree and in the mode of its operation. It dissolves, diffuses, dissipates in order to recreate, or where this process is rendered impossible, yet still at all events it struggles to idealize and unify. It is essentially vital, even as all objects are essentially fixed and dead. Yes, correct. These lines were written by Coleridge in Biographia Literaria. Coleridge wrote these lines in Biographia Literaria about primary and secondary imagination. All right. So that's all for tonight. I hope you guys loved the session and enjoyed answering these questions. And if you guys want, you can join our GATE English crash course. Tomorrow there will be paper 1 session by Jobin sir. Do join that as well. And I will see you all again on Monday. Okay. Till then, do take care. Bye. Good night. And please like.